please. I am sorry to state, whoever is sitting and talking very comfortably, सीधा नीचे एक फ्लोर भेजेगा library. Okay. उधर बहुत around 8,000 square feet है. आराम से बैठकर बात कर सकते हैं. TYB come. Yes, come. Look, I'm going to start the lecture before that discussion. You know that yesterday Union budget has been presented to the Parliament and social media discuss about the budget. So it is your duty to read the budget because that budget is considered as an historic budget, which is aiming for 23 years growth. Okay, and we are not going to discuss detailed budget. The two main points which every young student can understand. The budget is giving a lot of emphasis to infrastructure development. Why? Because infrastructure is the need of the day. So only the infrastructure like rail, road, or airport, all these things are getting developed, automatically economy will develop. And this is a 25-year program. Lot of money has been kept in the budget. Point number 2, which is useful to you, is digitalization. Government is giving full focus for digital payment. And 2022, RBI will be coming out with the digital currency. So what we are doing is, we are really going ahead with digitalization, especially financial digitalization. So try to read the things, you being the young people, you have more and more accessibility with computer is a must because the future is going to be digital economy. So it is better to have computer or a better mobile where most of the things can be done. Taxation structure, there is no change. Okay, this is sufficient. Now we are going back to our system. Import licensing, yesterday we have discussed this. We are not going to repeat it again. Importers are expected to get the license from RBI for importing everything. Through the import licensing, government can effectively implement quota and keep the imports under control. What are the objective of import licensing? One of the most powerful instrument is import licensing. Earlier, the same import licensing was creating corruption. License usko deta tha, whoever was ready to give the money. Girls are not listening. So here, what is important is now corruption has been reduced because things are becoming transparent and more digital. Hello boys, lecture is going on. This is not a canteen. We are very happy that you are all coming, but make use of the lecture at the maximum. Yes, boys, sit separately. Look here, whoever has brought vaccination certificate, you can give it the last 5 minutes before the end of the lecture. When you are submitting vaccination certificate, write TYBCom and your roll number. Don't submit without head and tail. Attendance sheet is getting circulated. And towards last 5 minutes, you will have to, open your the digital, not Wi-Fi data connection, because attendance will be shared in the Zoom link. So try to see that. Now I am discussing, I can see a lot of new students, new in the sense, new faces. We are discussing non-tariff barrier, which is already in the board. There we are discussing import licensing. And I told import licensing, government can, easily they can control easily they will be able to control the quota system because license milne par hi import kar sakta hai. So it is directly controlling the quota, and the very purpose is government can have a control over the import. It also helps to reduce speculative activities in the international trade. You are very well aware foreign exchange market may be speculations are happening. How the stock market may speculation is happening. Like that, in the foreign exchange market also, speculations will happen. So this type of import licensing will stop speculative activity. What is the reason? License मिलने पर ही import कर सकता है. So there is a direct control over the import. So because of this reason, speculation can be controlled. Therefore, most of the countries today have eliminated licensing system because it leads to corruption. Underline that. I told you already, most of the countries, including India, we have removed import licensing for many products. What's the reason? There was a time when license was given only for money. So the very purpose of licensing has been defeated. So now government is having liberalization and other methods by which they are controlling the import. Because it should not lead to corruption, then the purpose will not be served. Come. I am happy that boys and girls are coming, but you are seeing also after a long gap or maybe first time, everything I am appreciating. But you cannot be distracted yourself. Now I am starting with domestic subsidies. Take down the coins, take the notes, because I see that here students never watch YouTube videos, never watch YouTube videos, nothing you are doing. You are living in your own world. Okay. Domestic subsidies. Now you are aware that not 2 days before, more than 7,000 or 8,000 HSC students all over Maharashtra has followed a very big turnout. The reason is simple. They don't want offline examination, which is the month of February. The simple reason is 10th standard also they have passed like that, 11th also they have passed like that. So they are not studying anything. The moment the offline exam comes, they know that they will be failing. Because overall system, they will be engaging in a very disturbing result. Similar story should not happen in your case. Because forget about the online, it was a temporary arrangement. Our permanent arrangement is learning the things and writing. And you have literally lost the habit of taking down the things. So please try to understand the seriousness and listen. What do you mean by domestic subsidy? I have to sit for some time because of the online students. Very soon we will stop online because students are coming to the college. Subsidies are the direct payments. That is the first point. Made by government. That is the second point. To the domestic producers. Third point. To lower the cost of production. Fourth point. And encourage the producers to produce more. The line is so powerful. What do you mean by domestic subsidy? Children, domestic subsidies are direct financial payment. Given by whom? Given by government. Given to whom? Given to the exporters. Why the government is giving? So that cost of production will become less. Cost of production कम होने पर क्या होगा? International market में our products become more competitive. Please remember that. The very purpose of subsidy, domestic subsidy is very clear. Government is giving financial subsidy. Financial subsidy is given to the exporters. So that what will happen? Subsidy cost come over. Government is giving them financial support. Price come over. Price come होने पर international market में our products will become more competitive. We can earn better earnings. But remember, WTO, that is World Trade Organization, they have put lot of factors. I don't even copying, I will call your parents. And I will ask them not to send you in the class. That is very clear. You are sitting in the class in order to understand the things. And that is also in the middle of so many uncertainties who are coming. And we are praying every day that now this should become a regular system. Again, there should not be a break. So you have to be self-responsible. WTO says that domestic subsidies has to be controlled. Why? The other subsidies 1/4, that product will become cheaper. So India is like a switch of the mobile. India is giving you 20% subsidy. So when China knows that India is giving 20% subsidy, China will give 25% subsidy. Then India and China are giving between 20 to 25. Japan will give 30% subsidy. So this will create an discouraging effect in the international market. इसलिए domestic subsidy के ऊपर बहुत सारे controls है. Domestic subsidy can be given in order to protect the domestic producers, no doubt. But it should not be given beyond a limit. So WTO has put the limit. Only this much control you can, this much subsidies you can give. That is also under different headings. So we are repeating, subsidies are direct payment, point number 1. Point number 2, it is made by the government. Point number 3, it is given to the domestic producers, especially those who are into the export. Okay. And the purpose is to reduce the cost of production, so that they will be producing more, they will be exporting more. Subsidies can take the form of cash payment, very, very important for objectives. Suppose you are going ahead with objective, this question can be asked. Subsidies kaisa hoga? It can be in the form of cash payment, first one. Then lower interest rate, ye bhi subsidy hai. Tax exemption, 3. These are the forms of subsidy. Government of India follow all the 3. Government is giving cash payment. You are aware that COVID के period पर भी subsidy दिया था, सीधा account में जाता था. Aadhaar card link करके through the digital payment, government was giving subsidy in the direct account. Then another is low interest rate. This is which is very need of the day. Bank loan जो लेता है, उधर exporter के लिए interest rate अलग है. Interest rate is less. So when the interest rate is less, producers will produce more. So bank credit is a major item which will push up the export. So the rate of interest comes here. Third is tax exemption. That you are learning direct and indirect tax. You know that 100% export income is exempted from the tax. That is the biggest achievement for the exporter. India mein, if a domestic producer is earning 10 lakh rupees, he has to pay the income tax. I know 2.5 is the limit. Uske aage jo income aata hai, uske upar slab ke anusar he has to pay the tax. But I am an exporter, I am earning 20 lakhs. I don't have to pay 1 rupee income tax. That is why always exporters are given red carpet welcome. Why itna bada difference? Because exporters are bringing dollar to the country. That will help the country to go for the import. Import ka payment milega from the export. So naturally, lot of encouragement is given to the foreign export. Please remember that. Subsidies reduce the price. It is PRICE. I was dictating, so that Google has heard it as the other price. So subsidies reduces the price of domestic goods, help the producers to compete with foreign producers more effectively. I told you subsidy is given only with one intention. Domestic producers should be more competitive. Because international market mein all the countries are coming. So the countries which are very competitive enough, their price will be less. In India, ka main complaint is our cost of production is high. Either it will be wages or it will be raw material. Nowadays, everybody, yesterday's budget speech, if you listen or if you read, there is always a mentioning about high inflation. Because India mein raw material ka cost is increasing. When the raw material cost is increasing, automatically the price will increase and the inflation will be high. And you remember, inflation is the villain which will spoil the entire game because the price will be high. So international market mein kitna bhi subsidy do, inflation has to be controlled. Otherwise, aapka export pickup nahi hoga. Domestic subsidy discourage imports. So there are 2 types of subsidy. One is for the exporters. Other is for the domestic production. Underline the domestic subsidy. Side mein kidhar likho. There are 2 subsidies. One subsidy is for the exporter. Second subsidy is for the domestic producer. Normal. आप और मेरे जैसा producer. Domestic subsidy देखो. For example, I am producing and selling within India only. So I am also, there are two types of subsidy. One subsidy, first subsidy is for the exporters who are producing and exporting. आपको मालूम है 100% exporting. वो लोगों को subsidy मिलता है. दूसरा subsidy है domestic subsidy. Domestic subsidy देने पर it will be discouraging the import. See that word. Domestic subsidy discourages the import. Why the domestic subsidy is discouraging the import? Domestic subsidy के वजह से domestic price become less. When the domestic price become less, people will be preferring domestic goods. So when we buy the domestic goods, we will not be running behind the imports. So the import will be less. Ultimately, the aim of the government is reduce the import and increase the export. Always remember, international trade means the gospel truth is very clear. Encourage the export and decrease the import. So when the government is giving domestic subsidy, क्या होगा? People will be using Indian goods. अभी आपको मालूम है, means Prime Minister Narendra Modi is emphasizing a lot about the Atmanirbharta. That word is very common. That means self-sufficiency. That is the meaning of that Atmanirbharta. You should produce by yourself. That is the pan-India movement. Don't depend too much on the imports. So the subsidy देने पर price will be less. Subsidy निकालने पर price will shoot up. Best example is petrol. Subsidy निकाला, petrol का price is above 100. Subsidy निकाला, LPG cylinder का price is above 800. So जब तक subsidy है, price will be less. Always you remember. This also helps the domestic producers to capture the export market. Already I told you, subsidy reduces the cost. That is the main chunk of the point. Subsidy होने पर cost कम होगा. So if you are exporting, you can capture the export market. The main competition is between India and China. The China advantage is they are able to control the cost. That is the reason the entire world, China is able to export. But we are not able to control the cost. And we have to reduce the cost, then only you can compete in the international market. Most of the developed countries use domestic subsidy. I am using the highlight now. Using the domestic subsidy in agriculture. ये देखो, to prevent agricultural import from the developing country. That point is very important. We are talking about developed countries. Okay, developed countries क्या करते हैं children? कुछ मैसेज देते हैं. Okay. Online children, I hope you are able to hear. DY ma'am, actually we should stop the online. You are all grown up children, you should have completed your vaccination. Thank you. They are able to come to the college rather than sitting at home. See, we are discussing the last sentence talks, the last orders. The last sentence talks about developed countries. Developed countries for purpose is to capture the market. And we think that generally not be giving subsidies. But in reality, developed countries are giving more subsidies than developed countries. But especially America. I told you America's stand is highly political. They will speak something internationally, do something just opposite. Why they are putting or why they are giving heavy subsidies? They want producers. They don't want import from developing countries. See that word. Developing countries say import नहीं चाहिए. I'm very sorry to say that we are not into any of the political issues. You are suffering. Trump has come up to India and government of India has spent crores of rupees for this message. उसका security issue all that thing. But in spite of all that, political relation might have improved, not the economic relation. They will not do anything so that India's export to US will increase. They will never do. Only one point they are tolerating us because of software people are working with. That also they are trying their level best to see that they are coming back. But the big companies such as Google, Microsoft, and Facebook, they are not ready because they know that they cannot work with the big things. So the developed countries always give higher subsidy. And once we learn WTO, you will see that WTO domestic subsidy should be zero. And who is controlling WTO countries? UK. But these are the countries who are giving greater subsidy to the domestic economy, so that their people will not be using imports from developing countries. And we are depending a lot on our export. But unfortunately, our exports are not picking up. Agricultural products, okay, jewelry, leather, these are all the products. But when the government is giving subsidy in their own country, naturally our import, our export will be more priced. So that country will not be using it. So that's what you have to be very careful here. Don't get confused between developing country, export subsidy, and domestic subsidy. You have to understand that very clearly. Next, देखो voluntary export restraints. Restraint means control. Restraint means control. कभी-कभी government export के ऊपर भी control डालेगा. Restraint means control. Why there is control on export? Import के ऊपर control everybody can understand. Why there is control on export also? Sometimes there will be shortage in domestic consumption. Domestic consumption के लिए product ही available नहीं है. So in that case, what will happen? Government will put some control on export. Yes, boys का side हो गया, अभी keep it there. Let it be there only. These are bilateral agreement between trading countries to limit rapid growth of export of certain commodity. Underline that word, certain commodity. Many times it is happening in India. Particular commodity का export इतना हो जाता है, India में वो available ही नहीं है. So automatically domestic price will shoot up. So that should not happen. So what does the government will do? Government of importing country can request the government of exporting country. So India is an exporting country. Okay, Gulf country is an importing country. Let us take that example. So Gulf can put a request to India to impose restrictions on the export of certain specific goods in order to protect domestic producers in the importing country. Read that sentence. Kya likha hai dekho? I told you the trade is between India and Gulf. So many times it happens that Gulf can put a request to India. What is the request? Because international trade is depending on the cooperation. So they can put a request to India. You might put some control on your export. So naturally, government of India will ask what's the reason. Export are giving us foreign exchange. Why are they asking us to reduce our export? They will say that after export की वजह से हमारा domestic production कम होता है और हमारा domestic demand कम होता है. So we don't want it. So better to maintain import relation. Plus country के लिए आपको export करता है तो वो थोड़ा कम करो. And government will accept. What is the reason? We are importing oil from them. So there is a win-win situation. So Gulf is a request only for India will try for other markets. Other Asian countries the market, Singapore, Malaysia, Korea, or they will try for European Union market. European Union market is a big market. More than 18 countries are the members of European Union. Why I am not mentioning about English is India is not exporting that much to US. Whatever we are exporting is basically the cotton garments. Then they are fond of our cotton garments. India may best out of the best cotton shirts, we may pay 2,000 or 2,500 rupees. Or later, अगर 3,000 तक आएगा. लेकिन उधर जाने पर you are directly getting, $100. $100 में nothing. $200, $300. So the exporters are making money. So many times when that country realizes that India का export, I am talking about India because they belong to this country. India का export is conquering their market. They will put a request. You try to reduce the export. The moment the request comes, India will find out other countries. Because n number of countries are available. Read that sentence again. Read that what is written. Government of importing country. I told you, put an example, Gulf. So आपको confusion नहीं होगा. Gulf will internet connection. 1 minute. Net connection is. Yeah, Gulf countries can request government of exporting country. Exporting country is India. What they will put the request to impose the restrictions on the export. हमारा export के ऊपर restrictions डालेगा. किसके लिए? So that they want to protect their domestic producers. Ultimately, आप एक ध्यान रखो, everybody is concerned with their domestic producers, their domestic laborers. If you are, reading the newspaper or if you are listening to news, yes, there's never been he wanted to put or he wanted to literally reduce the number of Indian people, especially Indian this IT engineers working there. Because of Indian engineers, US people are not getting the job. So he then extremely research that is allowing the Indian software engineers to work there. He wanted to reduce the quota of India because extremely research taken on lottery. And every country gives a quota is given. And maximum number of employees are from India. Because there are so many people applying. And he wanted to control that. The reason I told you, because he wanted to protect the rights of the laborers. He will ask the question, why is it not taking job? Please remember, comparing with the Indian software engineers, American engineers are not as capable. There is one group of American engineers who are very capable. They are so capable in patents, copyrights, high level intelligence. But that percentage is less. There are so many Americans who do not have higher education. So they are not getting the job. The similar story was happening in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia was also trying to protect their own local labor. So international trade and localization is a very big issue. So we have to be very careful in dealing with it. That's the reason Prime Minister Narendra Modi is many times visiting many countries to maintain the good relations. If the relations are good, our exports will be established. But no country will encourage our export at the cost of their domestic production. Please remember that. Because ultimately everybody is selfish. Nobody wants to help other country. So that is why that sentence has to be very careful. I had given you an example also. This is the limit imposed on Japanese car export to USA to protect the automobile industry in USA. So USA has put a request to Japan. You do not export your cars to USA. You are remembering, once upon a time, USA was controlling the automobile industry of the world. General Motors. USA was literally, there is a place in US known as Detroit. Detroit is the automobile capital of USA. But Abito, they literally lost the market. Now the other countries are coming ahead in the automobile sector. So Aisa Hone per US put a request to Japan. You do not export your cars to our country. Because हमारा गाड़ी लेने के लिए लोग तैयार नहीं है. So this type of request will always happening in the international trade. Go through that. If there is any doubt, try to tell to me. Hardly. I'm stopping the recording.